Welcome to Teachers on TV. We're live today on October 17th, 1997. I'm Craig Messerman, and I teach Earth Science at Sentinel High School.
And I'm Laura Lee Evans, and I teach English at Big Sky High School.
We have 6 teachers from around Missoula here today, and our purpose is to learn about MCAT and how to make a production here. Also to talk about some issues involving the schools, and to give you a chance to call in and ask us questions. So please give us a call, and we'll take your questions.
I understand that you went out to Stone Container yesterday, and as part of a way of helping us get in touch with some of the things that are going on with students and our concerns for the future. Why did you take that trip out to Stone Container yesterday, Craig?
Well, we've been, in the schools, we've been focusing a lot on how to bring the business community into the school and help us out. And so a group of teachers went around to different businesses, and we, listened to what they had to say about their employees and about what they want the schools to do, and the job market in general as well.
What did you learn out there yesterday?
I guess the most important thing that hit home with me, we did learn about the mill and how it runs, but one of the managers there talked to us about their employees, and it really struck a chord with me as a teacher. He said that in the last 10 years, they have seen a big change in attitude in their students. And the new hires that they're getting today are showing they seem to think that they deserve the job, and they deserve what they're getting from Stone Container, and they're a little less willing to really work to earn what they're getting.
So they're really seeing a change in how students are, in the kind of employee that's coming in now.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been teaching for 10 years, and I've seen that change in my students as well. And what to do about it, I don't know. There is definitely a change in people and society, and I guess the one thing I want to take back to my students is, that one, if they work hard, they are going to go far, because less people are really wanting to work really, really hard. And so I want to emphasize that to my students, and I will talk to them about it.
One of the things that we're hearing a lot about as teachers now is getting prepared for the future. There are some new programs we have now. Can you talk a little bit about the program, preparing our students better, the School to Work program? Is that part of why you went there?
Yes, it is. I think we were just starting that at Sentinel, and we're just learning about it, and we are going to implement some new, ideas into our curriculum, and we're trying to bring businesses in. So I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but we're still in the stage of scoping the business community to find out what they want to see from us, and telling them, what we think we can do. So please give us a call if you have any questions about any of these new things. Laura Lee, I understand you have some new things going on at Big Sky. Can you tell us about some of the new things you're doing?
You bet. We've been doing a lot of work out at Big Sky for about the last 5 years, actually, and things are really starting to take off with restructuring. And several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we went to a new schedule so that the kids, rather than going to school 7 periods a day, they have 8 periods over 2 days, so that we have a rollover schedule. And it gives them opportunity to take more classes, to take more electives, to do some more things that they want to do. In the last couple of years, we've also gone to site-based management, so that we have changed the way our school is run, actually, so that rather than the old traditional top-down administration is making the decisions for the school, rather than doing that, we've got a group of teachers, staff members, and also students and parents who are part of the site-based committee who is putting together how we make the decisions at Big Sky High School, and that's very exciting.
So would you say that's what the definition of site-based management is? It's working from the staff up with
Yes,
decision-making?
yes.
Okay.
So that we together make the decisions for our school about what's going on. And I guess some of the, we also have moved more toward interdisciplinary learning. We're very interested in that this year. We did some strategic planning over the summer. That was very exciting in terms of helping to try and connect not only our students better to the school, but also to try and connect our school to the community. Because it seems that there has been this disconnection there. There's been, I think that a lot of people in the community, not only parents, but all community members really don't see anything except the students screeching out of the parking lot in the afternoon, and we want them to see something, some of the exciting stuff too.
Can you give us
We
an
have a-
example of something specific that you're doing at Big Sky?
You bet. Do you think we should, let's take this phone call first.
All
Shall we
right.
do that?
Sure, sounds good.
All
Good
right.
idea. I think we've got a call. Line 1.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, welcome to Teachers on TV. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, I have a question. Who decides what curriculum is chosen for a particular school? For instance, recall hearing something that Bonner School Systems received a curriculum that was sponsored or written in part by Exxon, and I find that to be kind of conflictive with some certain views. I'm wondering how you would find out, how that whole system works.
Well, I know the district has a curriculum guideline. Now, it generally follows, in any particular subject, it's going to follow state or national standard curriculum for that particular subject. I don't know about the example of a curriculum from Exxon. Now, I can imagine maybe a particular unit or lesson, but when I...
It was actually some sort of a guideline for the science. I'm sorry, I'm kind of unclear, but I recall saying it was something that was to serve as a guide on how to teach the science within that school.
Really?
That's kind of, well, I just think it's kind of wrong. Something kind of shaky about having Exxon tell them how to teach about science.
Well,
You bet.
I tend to agree. That sounds familiar, or I would agree with that. Let me tell you where I'm coming from. As long as I've been a teacher, nobody's ever sat down with me and basically told me what the curriculum is. I know my subject matter, and I have a textbook that has the basic science subject matter for earth science, and I've never had anybody come from the outside and really tell me what it is. I know there's certain things that a good earth science curriculum has in it, and I teach those.
Well, when we have curriculum guides that are created by a huge number of people over a long period of time, usually curriculum is developed over years, and it goes through several channels and several different, a whole series of things, and then eventually goes to the school board. Now, one thing that you might want to keep in mind is that Bonner is not part of our district. Bonner is a separate district, and that's an important thing to note.
Okay.
We are part of the Missoula County Public Schools, and Bonner is a district outside. So we can't, we can't speak specifically to that. The person to talk to, I think, would be your superintendent. Probably check with your principal first and your superintendent, and I would have questions about that too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
Okay.
It's great.
All right, we were talking about some of the ways in which we try to make learning relevant. Was that the question you had?
We were, some specific ways that you're changing what you're doing and making it relevant. Yep.
One of the big pushes, I think, this year at Big Sky High School is to try to develop interdisciplinary units. And so some of the things that we are doing right now include that we have an English teacher and a science teacher who have put a program together called, I believe it's called Environmental Issues, but it looks at those issues. And those teachers have done a fabulous job of pulling together those two disciplines. And each of us at the school are now investigating our own ways of being able to look at those issues. And I myself am trying to put together a poetry and music unit. I am, my basic area is in English, and I work with a lot with creative writing. I'm also the advisor for the literary magazine. And Suzette Dussault, I've got to put in a plug here for the public library. She's done a fabulous job of creating a writing series for young people. It's a terrific place to find out about writers. But there really has been very little for high school students, and she has put together a writing series specifically for them. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is get together with the band instructor and put together have one student write a poem, and then another student compose a piece to go with it, so that it's an in tandem kind of thing.
That's great.
So that's one of the things that I'm looking at, and we're all across the curriculum. We're all looking at ways to try and pull together ideas that will help learning mean something to students, so that it gets us closer to relevancy, I
Good.
guess.
Yeah, that's good. I know some ideas that I've done over the last few years. I've taken students out to the university. We go to the sewage treatment plant, and we get the kids out. And as far as science is concerned, I think it's very important to make it local as much as possible. We study world issues, but everything in science can be found right here in this great state of Montana, too. Laura, I think it's about time if you want to read us a little poetry.
I was going to read that poem and put it together with a piece, but since Dick's not here, maybe we'll skip that.
Okay.
Okay?
Do that.
So maybe we are ready for the next step. You'll be hearing from another two teachers in just a few minutes, and please call in. We're interested in your comments. We're interested in your questions.
It's time for us to take a look at some video art segments from Marvin Paul's art class at Hellgate High School, a 3-minute segment from his video art.
Mm-hmm.
Are they on?
Okay. Well, we went a little short.
Slide. Dab. Okay. Press slowly across. Ring. Punch. Float. Flip. Slash.
Hello. Today we've got Teachers on TV, and we are teachers. We're here having an in-service today at MCAT, getting trained to use the equipment. And right now, Willis Curdy and I are here giving a little presentation. I'm Catherine Ernst, and I'm a gifted education teacher in the district. Willis Curdy is a Montana history and issues teacher at Hellgate High School. And he's going to give a presentation right now about buffaloes, current and past.
In our Montana Issues class, we attempt to bring across a number of issues that face Montanans. And of course, as most of you know, one of the biggest issues today, of course, is the removal of bison from the areas surrounding Yellowstone National Park. And as you're all aware, it's a very controversial issue. It's resulted in buffalo entrails being dumped on the governor and federal officials and a felony signed with that. But anyway, when we do this, we need to kind of start from the beginning. And so what I do to the students to introduce this thematic unit on buffalo is I read a selection from Bernard DeVoto's Across the Wide Missouri. And this book is, as I said, is written by Bernard DeVoto. It is a tremendous description of the United States in the 1830s and 1840s. And in this book, DeVoto talks about trapping, trading, and hunting buffalo. Now, the hunting buffalo I'm going to read here is quite different than what we see today on TV, but it's a great description. And students really like to have readings done to them. They like it. I do it occasionally, maybe 2 or 3 times a quarter. But anyway, I have this one selection. I'll introduce it by describing an English nobleman by the name of Sir William Drummond Stewart, who traveled into the West in 1834 to be at the rendezvous in Wyoming. And I'm going to read from that selection about hunting buffalo. Stewart may have had many motives for coming to the United States, but probably foremost among them was desire to experience what seems to have been the finest of all sports on this continent, perhaps the finest sport hunters have enjoyed anywhere. Every variety of big game, from elephants to grizzlies, has its own devotees, but everyone who has ever hunted buffalo on horseback in the West, except the skeptical Richard Dodge, found it the consummation of the sportsman's life. This was not because the buffalo was cunning or crafty, for it was the stupidest of mammals, nor because it was hard to come by, for it existed in far greater masses than any other large animal on earth, nor because it was dangerous in itself. What gave the hunt an emotion equivalent to ecstasy in the excitement, the speed, the thundering noise, the awe-inspiring bulk of the huge animal motion, the fury of its death, and the implicit danger of the chase. Since for 40 years this was a notable and unique American experience, we may pause to describe the sportsman's way of hunting buffalo. Sir William Drummond Stewart first saw buffalo in late May along the Platte, east of the Forks, a usual time and place for fur caravans to meet them. This was calf time, and so the cows at other seasons, and comparably the best meat, would be poor and stringy. The greenhorn had envisioned enormous herds whose passing shook the earth and whose bellowing made sleep impossible at night. But such herds would not form until the mating or running season, well past midsummer. Before that season, the buffalo would be encountered in small bands, from 20 to 30 up to 100 or so, more or less cohesive, moving toward water or feeding on the short grama, which was the most nutritious of grasses. There might be many bands near together, mounting up to several thousands all told. Or even what would be considered good buffalo country, a day's travel might reveal only 2 or 3. The calves would be light in color, sandy red, or even yellow. Packs of wolves and coyotes would be trailing them, but the bulls would be on guard. Yearlings would be darker, and spike bulls, the 4-year-olds whose horns had smooth, clean points, would begin to show the colors of maturity. There was much individual variation, but a typical bull would shade from bright blonde at the forequarters and hump to dark brown or even black in the hindquarters and under the belly. At calf time, the thick woolly hair would be shedding toward the near nudity of midsummer, and the resulting patchiness would make a full-grown bull look even more ferocious and demonic than a greenhorn's fantasy had painted them. Such a bull, say 8 or 10 years old, would weigh just short of a ton, 1,700 or 1,800 pounds. He would stand 6 feet at the shoulders. From muzzle to rump, he might be 10 feet long. Sighting a bunch, the hunter tightened his saddle girth and verified the charge and priming of his weapons. He tried to get as close as possible, approaching upwind. Grazing buffalo could be stalked within certain bow shot, 50 to 100 yards, by careful Indians or whites, crawling up draws, pushing a sagebrush ahead of them like military snipers, or even as in a celebrated print of Catlin's wearing wolfskins. If a successful approach were made, such a hunter might kill half a bunch, even with firearms, before the survivor showed any curiosity about what was going on. There was no such placidity, however, if the ungainly beast caught the man's scent or saw any rapid or unusual movement. The sportsman hoped to ride undiscovered within 300 yards, but seldom did. Usually he was a half a mile away when first one, and then the whole bunch broke into a run, quartering downwind to keep the scent and yet escape from it. That was what the sportsman had come for. He began the chase. Any tolerably good horse could overtake the fastest buffalo, but he had to go full gallop to do so, and sometimes had to gallop 4 or 5 miles, which what broke horses down. This first wild run, most exhilarating in the early morning when the thin air was electric in your lungs, was headlong over unknown ground which might have buffalo wallows or small gullies or sizable ravines in it, and was certain to be pitted by innumerable burrows of gophers and prairie dogs. A fall might mean a broken leg for the horse, broken bones or concussions or death of the rider. In Fremont's report, Kit Carson, as expert a hunter as ever lived, is first seen in action picking himself up from such a fall. Though considerably hurt, he had the good fortune to break no bones. But long before the hunter overtook the buffalo, he was, in Fremont's words, sensible to nothing else. His heart was pounding in time with the horse's hooves. He was straining forward his saddle, and he was shouting at the top of his voice. The buffalo were making by instinct for country too broken for a horse to follow, deep ravines or wooded coulees. If they could be overtaken, the hunter's excitement became delirium. I could see nothing but a cloud of dust, Francis Parkman wrote. In a moment I was in the midst of the cloud, half suffocated by the dust and stunned by the trampling of the flying herd. But I was drunk with the chase and cared for nothing but the buffalo. There were buffalo all around, enormous in the murk, butting at the horse, trying to gore him, sometimes charging at it. Their hooves flung dirt and clods into the hunter's eyes. His ears whirred with a confusion of noises. There was no seeing what was ahead, but he had to select a victim, and at any season but calf time, the victim had to be a cow, a young one for preference. A trained buffalo horse, guided entirely by the pressure of the rider's thighs, sidestepped the sidelong charges and dodged the direct ones, coming up behind the right shoulder. When Indians coursed buffalo, they used a lance or arrow. One arrow was enough if properly placed, and was frequently driven clear through the beast so that it slid along the plain on the other side. The white man used his rifle and reloaded on the dead run, pounding the butt plate to the saddle to seat the bullet, which normally had to be rammed home. If he succeeded in that doubtful operation, pouring powder haphazardly from his horn, perhaps some double or triple charge, and spitting into the muzzle a ball he had been carrying in his mouth, he was ready for another kill. If not, he used his pistols less effectively. No matter, by now he was a madman, and he had to keep galloping, yelling, firing, till his horse was spent, his powder gone, or the bunch of buffalo dispersed to stragglers. Suddenly, there was silence again. Okay, anyway, this is a great introduction to how buffalo were hunted in the early 1800s, 1830s, 1840s. And again, as I said earlier, students really do, even freshmen, sophomores in high school, like to have articles read to them from time to time. I know I've heard many of other teachers express the same type of interest. So anyway.
I hear you saying that the process we have a call now on line 1, but I hear you talking about the process of the hunt is as important perhaps as the product, at least in these back in the 1800s.
Well, I mean, and it was an economic thing. We'll go ahead to the call here.
Hello, this is MCAT.
Push the
You sure are. Line 1. Uh-oh. I think we just got disconnected. Okay. Are you
No,
there?
I'm still here.
Great,
Are you
great.
there?
Would you start all over again?
Sure.
Question?
I think it's interesting to watch you use the medium of television. And one of the things that I've been concerned about as a parent, of course, and also in the schools is, how do we effectively use television? Is there a way to effectively use television in our families and in our schools? But also, I've been really concerned lately about, do you all see a rise in violent behavior in your students and maybe even in your coworkers? And what is your reaction? Do you think that there's more weapons present in the school system? Or what is your take on that? And do you have ideas about that as far as both in our schools and as a culture, ways that we could deal with what might be rising aggression?
Well, I might just respond to this. Willis and I shared lunch, and we were chatting about the effects of being so monitor-oriented in our society right now, to the extent that maybe kids aren't learning how to, or they aren't reading as much, which also will affect their writing skills and the way that they can express things. As far as violence, my personal feeling in the elementary schools is that I'm not necessarily seeing more of it. I see a lot of peer mediation going on. There's angles where teachers and schools are trying to bring about better communications and for students.
What is peer mediation? I don't know that I always get that.
Okay, peer mediation is more where students are learning how to communicate to each other about conflicts that they feel. And it's an approach where you aren't attacking the other person that you're having a conflict with, but instead you are stating how you feel, why you feel it, and what you need the other person to do to change behavior so that there's an understanding. So students are learning how to talk to each other, and then and do they both understand a conflict, and can they both resolve it and understand how they're resolving it.
Are there more weapons, do you think, present in the classroom?
Personally, I've been in the elementary schools for about 20 years, and I can't see that there necessarily is. That would be my take on it. What do you find, Willis?
Well, at Hellgate High School, we have a peer mediation program, as you discussed, with the elementary school, and it seems to work really well. I think one of the big issues is getting students involved in peer mediation. And in some cases, students, quite a few cases, students do on their own try to settle differences in a quiet, peaceful, realistic human manner. But in some cases, students are reluctant to use peer mediation because they have been acculturated not to settle their issues in a peaceful manner. And I guess this is where a lot of the violence occurs. In 27 years of being in the Missoula County school system, I've noticed that students are a little more violent. I think the ones who tend to be more violent are in themselves more violent. So I would agree that in some cases, or in most cases, that students where we in the past would see a fist fight would tend to use more, what should I say, more weapons that have more impact, such as guns or knives or things such as that.
You know, your question and your call-in is interesting. It's a team of us that are gifted ed facilitators in the district. We're looking at putting together a convocation for middle schoolers come March 3rd and 4th is what we're planning. And what we hope to do is to focus on juvenile crime. And so we're going to have probably about 20 speakers speaking to children that has been identified within our program. these children are going to come up with some solutions, and we hope to get some students within the district filming this convocation, that it can, their solutions can come back to our families, our schools, to look at some of the issues around violence in our community. So you might just call MCAT come March and find out when that's going to be viewing,
Okay,
because
thanks.
it could be
Yeah,
interesting.
I appreciate that.
I know. I'm
Really, it's interesting because you hear so much in media coverage about kids and violence these days, kids and weapons. That I'm always curious about how do we balance that in our own hometown. And I don't know if there is a way for us to balance it if we don't have local media coverage, because if we're always importing our television signals or our radio signals, do we get to see or listen to our own community discussion about the issues? So anyway, I appreciate you guys being on the air. Thanks.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Yes,
That was a good question.
it is.
Anyway, how do we transition back to hunting buffalo?
Yeah, hunting buffalo. Well, it's interesting, the violence, and the thrill of the hunt. I guess is where I was going with that initial comment after your reading.
Well, I mean, I guess some would say that hunting is a very violent activity. It obviously is, to many people, violent action against, animals. And again, I think that is the focus of what we're trying to do here, is to show how people outside of Montana are seeing what Montanans are doing, especially with bison removal coming outside the park. But on the other hand, the state of Montana has frankly said that bison removal is important for the preservation of one of Montana's largest industries. And so we have a really difficult problem. And of course, in driving this unit, starting from where I did with the reading through guest speakers and the like, we hope to get students to a point where they can help, where they have a good idea of the background and can, amongst themselves, present possible solutions. I mean, it's a critical thinking skill activity. And I think that's one thing that we really need to do a lot more of in education, is to teach students how to think, and by applying various activities, various things have happened, may even bring things completely from a different part of the curriculum into their discussion to come up with a solution. And I think that's really
That makes
important.
me want to respond with something, but I believe we have a call on line 2. No. So I guess I'm also, I still go back to, what about the part about the incredible devastation that was done to the buffalo.
This past winter?
No, I'm talking about in the late 1800s. That romanticizes the hunt so much, and I guess, my fear, just the devastation that happened to the buffalo population, is one idea they might miss from that piece of reading.
Well, I mean, and that's one thing that we will emphasize in the course, is that the buffalo were taken first by hides, for $5 a piece, which we think of today as nothing, but I mean, today that'd be probably about $40 to $50 a piece. And the other thing, of course, is we come to the situation of the Native Americans. The military saw the destruction of the buffalo as the military solution.
Well, we're going to wrap up right now, and we sure do invite you to call on in to MCAT and speak to Teachers on TV. Thank you very much. We're going to show a little video now on some art in the high schools. Thanks a lot.
Little Mary. That was pretty entertaining. Kids were saying,
We're on.
who was that?
Hey, they said we're on.
Oh, okay. Here we are, back again.
In the chairs. Hi.
Howdy, viewers.
Well, I'm Ray Somerset, and this is
Marvin Pauls.
Hi, Marvin.
Hi, Ray.
And we thought we'd talk to you guys that are out there on the cable about what we do, about what we did today, and what did we do today?
Learned a lot about how to run a television program. I thought it was pretty interesting. Everything from running the cameras to directing the shots so that you can direct a shot from one person to the other person, focus in with cameras.
What'd you think of that character generator?
Oh, the character generator. That was fun.
That was
yeah,
great.
you're doing really good labeling everybody on that.
It's pretty
I like
nice.
that.
Those
Yeah.
of you that are out there and are teachers and
Yeah.
want a chance to try this out, this is free. And you come down, you can take the cameras into your classroom once you get checked out and certified
Yep.
on them, and you're certified.
I'm certified with
Right.
the cameras. I'm
Mhm.
certified with the editing also. So once you can take some really nice video in your classrooms and you can bring it down here and edit it together and get some wonderful stuff. That's what we've been seeing in the little segments between the ourselves that are talking. We have short video clips that were done by my sculpture class. The idea being that they look at television not as just something blindly that they sit there and watch at, but something where they can manipulate the space.
I think it's important to get the cameras into the schools. Like Marvin said, you can see what the kids want to put on, what they see they need to see on TV. And that's why Marvin's at Hellgate High School and I'm at Prescott.
Right.
And with little ones, the 9 and 10-year-olds, I'd like to see them be able to come up with the way they see things on TV and what could happen. And,
Right.
I know that the school district does put out a lot of really the fancy schmancy videos, and that's nice. But I'd like to see a little more what the kids think.
How they view TV and how they view the media as a tool to present their ideas through class. I mean, how do they see the world? What's going on in their lives? And they tend to watch a lot of TV anymore. Let's see if they can now use it as a media for expression so that they can give us their views, and then we could sit down and watch what the kids have to say.
Can you imagine bringing a group down here, let's say a small group on an outing, and learn how to run the tripods, the cameras, the sound equipment? I think they would just get carried away with it, and they'd want to be down here every
Right,
week, you know?
right. That would be the idea. Let's go down there a lot. I like that thing that makes it all fuzzy. Let's do that some more. Yeah.
So what Marvin and I would like you to do is, if you've got a suggestion of how, as teachers maybe, that we could use this. I know at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, most people are probably
at work
At work
or at
or-
sleep or getting ready to go to their afternoon
right.
shift. Yeah,
Sure.
that's right.
But if you're home, give us a ring and see what you think maybe the kids would like to do. I know this is going to be replayed in a few days, and if
Right.
you want to give us a suggestion, then call the schools and say I got a message for Ray at Prescott or Marvin at Hellgate, and give us an idea.
Exactly. Give us ideas. We're always open to ideas on how we can use this media to further educate the kids, get them more alert about the world around them.
See, as teachers too that are behind the cameras, they need to. These teachers need to be prepared for anything that goes on. Like, I'd like that.
Yeah.
Ray and I.
Okay. Well, here, let's just switch. I mean, they got it.
This one. Okay.
This
Is this mine?
But this is
one.
here. You get take that one around.
That one right here.
Little clip.
Right now, the little clip.
Find
Okay.
somewhere on the floor. Well, I'll just
Well,
pretend like it's
We'll hold these here for just a second.
We'll say, oh, hello.
And so
Wow,
this is
nice.
what the kids need to know is to be able to.
Spontaneously move around
Right.
and realize that if something messes up, they can live with it. Life isn't perfect. Something screws up, you say, well, we can handle that. Let's just go on with what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
And it's real important that we continue with our lives even if things don't go the way we want. You can't just stop because something isn't turning out the way you want in art class, say. I mean, you have a project that's just not working out. Well, you do with it what you can. You take and you accent your mistakes, make them important, say this is what I can do. and
Make it a
finish
success.
Make your successes or your mistakes a success. I think that's real important.
Well, we may have a call coming in.
It kind of sounds like that.
No, we don't have a call coming in.
All right, well, we'll just sit and chat.
You know, I
We'll
thought
just-
my wife might even call in and at least, call in with a fake name or a voice or something.
I would expect that.
Something
yeah,
would
it's-
happen.
Something would happen. I've been telling people, call in. Let's see what you guys have to say
When
to
did,
us.
when did you make the videos that we've been showing in between the segments?
Yeah, those were done last year in sculpture class. I spent a couple weeks, which is equivalent of about 10 hours of class time when you think about it. Doing videos in class. I did some in the fall class and then some again in the spring. And after that, I had one student that came down here on her own, and she was given extra credit to edit them all together, which is a whole nother process. It's really fun. You can see in the last segment of videos that they did a lot of flipping and flopping. The images would all of a sudden turn around and go boom, back up, and then they'd come from the side and swipes and things like that.
Sure.
And it's really interesting. Just to try and make them see television as something different. And I feel it does, and they explain that to me. It's like, man, I never looked at stuff in that way before. And because you can't be conscious only of the two main characters that are doing the interaction. What happens back here?
What's going on
What's
all
going
around
on
the
all
focal
around them.
point,
Right. Focus on the background. Pay real close attention to what's going on, not with the people, but in the background. Instead of watching a character on a movie, watch the background of the movie. And watch on Gunsmoke, there was a truck that drove across the back. We always made fun of that when we were kids. If you watch the intro section to Gunsmoke, if you look on the right-hand corner, there's this little white pickup driving across the horizon.
So you're able to use the TV media, just not as what we all think of as television, but you're using just this moving photographic images to create art with. Then
Correct. It's an art media. It's not just documentation, but it's using it as art. We use video feedback, which is a very pleasant thing, as opposed to audio feedback. It works really well, and I've found real success with it. It takes some time and a lot of creative thinking on their part, but it's real successful.
Now, a basic thing, I think that people should know that Marvin's art background in sculpture has been able to give him this inspiration, and then again with MCAT being able to say, here, for free, would you like to come down, train on this stuff, and get the TV into the schools instead of the schools always being in the TV or whatever.
Right. Using the media available to us through MCAT and just getting the video artists. There's some wonderful artistic people out there that we are able to access through MCAT, which makes it really nice. So, have you used video in your class at all, Ray?
Just with the VHS video recorders, not the professional quality, but what we did was something really cool, is kids would do a book report, and I try not to make book reports.
Right.
You know, I call it a book review or something, but what they did, as I said, you have to turn your book report, 4 of you as a team, into a newscast. And so maybe the person doing the weather has to have a book that's about something or about the weather. Maybe the guy that's doing the sports, the girls doing the sports, they read a sports book, and then they give their book reports in that way. And we have 2 video cameras going, I mean, it's really hokey.
Well, but it would be a lot of fun, and I mean, it's a lot better than writing your book report and then presenting it to a class and say, okay, my book report was on Daniel Boone, and he wore this really neat coonskin cap, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I want to get a hat like that, and that's my book report. And he maybe read 6 pages, but if he
Right.
knows he has to do it as newscast and report on his
Exactly.
book, and it's been really successful. We do poetry into it, so they can
Oh,
see
that's
themselves
great.
back. They look up and they go, you know, wow, I should have moved over, or I should have listened to what he said about getting closer to the camera.
Right, right. Oh,
So
that's
hopefully
great.
that we'll get more and more people doing that, 'cause I know you're real innovative what you do with it, and I like to
That's-
be.
Well, and it starts in grade school. I mean, I see it. The kids that you do with the book reports like that, they'll say, "Oh yeah, Mr. Somerset had us do this really cool thing, and I was a TV weatherman." And it's like, "Well, what did you report on?" It's like, "Oh, I reported on my book all about Old Yeller." And it's like, "That's not weather." "Oh yeah, but you can tell all about it." They get
'Cause it
all
rained in the
excited.
book.
Right, and they get all excited, and then they get it at middle school. They have quite a bit of equipment, I guess, that they can use. And they come in and say, "Oh, we did that," and then it's a lot easier for me to use it as a media. I don't have to retrain them on how to use a camera, how to act in front of a camera, what to do. They're kind of comfortable with that.
That's a
as
good
a
idea
media.
already. Then they have a basic idea if they grow up with it starting in 3rd or 4th
Mm-hmm.
grade, and the teachers are using. Again, it's fitting it into the time of the day is another thing.
Exactly.
Trying to get it, but you can always
Oh,
make time for this
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, it looks like we have a caller.
Oh, we do.
Super.
Okay,
Well, let's see. Which
it
one
was-
did we
it was
push
the
in?
button with the
Line
red dot,
one,
and then the
line
yellow
one.
one, the
Got it.
yellow slash.
Okay, and the purple dots.
That's
yeah,
one.
that's
That-
that
that'd be
one
the
right
one.
there.
Okay.
Hello, caller. You're on MCAT.
Hey, Mr. Pauls, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Uh-oh, you're on the hot seat.
Yeah. It's like, let me think. Do I recognize this voice? Not yet. Keep talking.
Well, I had long hair
So did I, but I don't call him Mr. Pauls.
on your video.
Uh-huh.
I'm watching you right now.
Good deal.
You grew a mustache since last year.
Uh-huh.
I graduated.
You graduated. Super. What semester were you in sculpture?
Yes.
No, which one? First or second?
Second.
Second. Okay.
Oh, he
That'll
was
get
that
me there.
pimply-faced one.
Oh,
wasn't he?
yeah. The pimply-faced
right.
one with long hair,
Uh-huh.
right, that I couldn't keep still.
I bet he's got a question.
Uh-huh. Do you have a question for us?
Actually, no, I was just calling to say hi.
Oh, hi, Saul. I got it, right?
Okay, which camera are you?
Me.
Got him. Got him.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
How you doing?
Pretty good. We're having a good time here. You know, I'm learning a lot more about how to run video and how to direct the shows, and it's really been exciting.
So this is your debut on MCAT, or have you showed this before?
This is my debut on TV.
All right, well, congratulations.
Oh, thanks a lot.
I'll have to stop by the school some night. And,
You do that.
all right, I will.
See, tell us what's going on in your life, Saul.
Okay,
Okay. Thanks for calling.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Saul. Well, that was good. See, we've already connected with kids that have been in. It sounds like he's graduated.
Yeah, he graduated last year.
And so we've made connections. You've done some video, obviously,
I
with
did
him.
some video
And
with
here
him.
we are connecting
Right.
again.
Yeah, and if you watch the video, in the first video that you saw, there were those the background images that were going back and forth like this, and then all of a sudden you cut to this guy, and you saw him pan across the video. That was Saul. And then I said, okay, now I'd had him do the movements, which are a part of a creative movement or a dance technique, where one is float. And so I would tell Saul, float, and you'd see this kind of an image across the TV. Right there. It was like this.
All right.
And then I saw, do jab, and it would kind of be like, woo, woo, woo. And then I would say, do flick, and so you might see him go, woo, 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 back and forth inside the TV. And then I did, what was the last one? There are 8 of them. I kind of forget until I review over them again. Oh, glide. So he would have to glide back. And it was really interesting. I mean, Saul was very creative. He did the drumming soundtracks to some of our things. And it was real enjoyable having him in class.
Now
It's
he's
good to hear
sitting
from
at
you,
home,
Saul.
sitting at home with a fat head now.
I was talked about on TV. Oh yeah.
So, are we going to continue? Do you think you see more and more of this getting into the schools? What do you really think is going to happen? Is this just kind of a flight of fancy for a while, or are just people like you and I that are into using it just going to be the mainstay, and maybe every now and then some other teacher will catch on?
I think it might be a flight of fancy, but I think it's going to catch on because it's I mean, our world now is getting so technological. It's either television or computers, or it's there's always new things that are, with the internet, and we're getting hardwired in school. And I think it would be a great opportunity for us to use to connect the science department with the art department in strange ways, because they do a lot of interesting stuff with their physics classes, dropping things off the balcony and timing things.
Right.
And we could edit the same
I
things.
dropped a kid off the balcony.
Yeah.
But you're right. They bring it all in.
Right, and I think this is a good media to bring everything together, and so I think it will get more and more of it as we go.
Well, we're going to sign off. This is Ray Somerset
I'm
and
Marvin Paul.
we're glad to have been with you. And we've got some guy beating on some skin here. So, Dick, if you'd take it away and come on over
We'll
here.
give it to you, and off you go.
You can interact.
Interact.
Oh, interact. No, come on, let's interact. Sit down. I'll move this up.
I'll take this
All right.
here.
And I'll sit down here.
Let's get this one back a little bit, and then I'll... There we go. Check it out! Wow! And then you have to find a way to finish.
You don't think it would be a good idea to have my side sometimes? I mean, you want me to look from camera to camera? I'm going to look at this camera all the time. This is a poem by Sandra Alcazar called A Fish to Feed All Hunger. On the porch like night peelings, bags of red hackles. The fisherman is dressing, capes of moose mane around him. In his vice, he wraps the waist of a minnow with chenille. We wade downstream. I am barefoot. The fisherman stands thigh deep, seining insects. Perhaps today, in this blizzard of cottonwood, it is the caddis that rises. After a year in mud, from larva to phoenix, in 4 seconds. The fisherman ties an imitator of hare's mask and mallard breast. He washes his hands in anisette, then casts back, a false cast, watching the insect's legs break the water. I line the creel with hay and mint and lay in 6 pale trout. There is a pink line that runs the length of a rainbow's belly, more delicate than an inner ear. It makes the whole basket quiver. The fisherman does not ask why I come. I have neither rod nor permit, but I see him watch me afternoons as I bend to brush down my rooster-colored hair. He understands a fish to feed all hunger, and the lure is the same. Thank you, Dick.